All of us make decisions that affect the lives of others. Something I've learned powerfully in the last few years is that when you're making a decision that will impact others, it is always a good idea to include them in the process of decision making. Sometimes we fail to do this because the decision seems so cut and dry or so clear in our mind that nothing would dissuade us. Or maybe we're afraid that someone would dissuade us if we included them in the process. It turns out, though, if you're not included in the process of making a decision that impacts you, it is much more difficult to get buy-in, to feel really good about the decision if you had no ability to speak into it. Let's say my boss decided we were going to go to a four-day work week and work 10-hour days rather than 8-hour days. That might really impact my ability to get a child or a grandchild to an event on a particular weeknight, and I might be distressed by that. If my boss includes me in that process, then I have an opportunity to speak into the decision. It may not ultimately impact the final decision, but it gives me a chance to feel like I was a part of that. There's a man named Patrick Lencioni who wrote the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, which, by the way, is a great book. And when I heard him speak, he said something very powerful. He said, reasonable people do not have to have their way, but reasonable people want to have their way considered. When you're making a decision that impacts others, please consider their feedback. You don't give them the final say, but it's very important to have their feedback. My son Adam helped me realize this very powerfully a number of years ago. We had a wreck when I was driving on icy roads in Colorado, and the van overturned and rolled 40 feet. It was scary and almost led to the death of my wife. She was thrown from the van and suffered pretty severe injuries. We worked out a settlement with the insurance agency, and they paid for the medical bills and ended up giving each of my 2 older sons $1,000 in the settlement just because they had minor injuries. Well, fast forward a few months, and we realized that the original CT scan did not show a blowout fracture of my wife's eye, and she was in need of a follow-up surgery that was going to be very costly. Since we didn't have medical insurance at the time, I went to my boys and told them we would have to use their money to pay for the surgery. Well, my oldest son, Adam, came to me the next day and said, "Dad, I need to talk to you." He said, "If you'd come to me and said, can we use the money that you got from the insurance company to pay for Mom's surgery?" I would have said, "Of course." But that's not what you did. You came and told me what was going to happen and didn't include me. Wow, that was an eye-opener for me and really helped me to see the value of including others in decision-making process. So please, if you're making a decision that impacts others, go to them. Get their feedback. Take seriously their concerns. They'll feel heard by you. And even if the decision does not change, they will be able to understand and have greater sense of buy-in and peace.